I guess we'll kind of rewind a little bit. About a month and a half ago, my body on my right side lit on fire. Like I was having electrical pulses just going off every 5 minutes, and I'm screaming and I'm yelling and I'm crying. I went to the hospital. They couldn't find what was wrong. Came back home, started taking ibuprofen and Tylenol and all the creams you could possibly find to make my skin stop burning. So fast forward, and my mom's like, you need to go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. You haven't been to the doctor. And of course, I'm a workaholic. I will work and work and work and work. But one day I finally said, I'm going to the doctor. And I seen every doctor I could possibly see. And thank God I didn't go to work till 2 o'clock that afternoon. Well, my first doctor appointment, she ran every blood test she could possibly find. But everybody knows with blood tests, you don't get those results back instantly. They take a while. So I went to work. Now, when I went to work, I felt fine. I noticed, my mouth was dry, but other than that, it was no big deal. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't thirsty. When I got to work, I thought, hey, I am tired. So what do you do when you're tired? You drink caffeine. So what did I drink? I drank a Coke Zero. Not a big one. It was just a small one. And so I was outside. I work at Chick-fil-A. So, if you work at Chick-fil-A, you have to take orders outside. And I'm just, going along. I knew I didn't feel good. My doctor had sent me a prescription. My husband filled that prescription. I was like, I need the prescription right now. My body's on fire. I'm at work. I'm still pushing through. So he brings the prescription. I take it. With what? A Coke Zero. So I'm fine. I go outside. Maybe 5-10 minutes later, I'm taking an order from a customer and I'm going to read it back. And I'm like, dizzy. My heart is pumping, just going a million miles an hour. And I tell them, I said, I can't finish your order. I'm going to send you up to the next person and she's going to finish it. Not 2 minutes later, I'm on the headset and I'm like telling one of my coworkers, I'm about to pass out. I'm about to pass out. And I go and I happen to be right where the patio is. So if anybody's been to Chick-fil-A, we have the patio where you can walk and sit outside, and I sat down. And he comes running out. And he's looking at me. He's already on the phone. And I'm like, why are you on the phone? Just call my husband. He'll be here in 2 seconds. We live across the street. My husband is Horatio. Sorry. So he comes running out and he's on the phone. And I'm like, don't call the ambulance. In my head, I'm thinking, don't call the ambulance. Now, remind you, I'm still sitting down. My hand is in my face. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Ray is on his way. And I gave my coworker my phone. And I said, hey, call my husband. He didn't call my husband. He called the ambulance. And I don't know what happened because I started losing my breath. I stopped breathing and I passed out. By the time I woke up, I had at least 5 EMTs surrounding me. I had the police department. I had the fire trucks. They had God and country there. And all my coworker kept saying was, they're on their way. Can you hear them? Can you hear them? They're on their way. And I was like, why is he calling them? I hadn't realized I had passed out. I hadn't realized I had stopped breathing. I thought I was falling asleep. And as soon as they got there, all you hear them saying is, Shannon, Shannon, Shannon. I mean, they're yelling my name at the top of their lungs. And I couldn't understand why. They got me to open my eyes for a half a second. They're like, open your eyes, open your eyes. And I saw my husband standing there. And he's silent. My husband's never quiet. Y'all know him? He's never quiet. So for him to be staring at me, not saying a word, was crazy to me. So he tells them finally, he says, I hear him say, because now my eyes are closed, and he says, she has PCOS. And they're like, oh my God, somebody take her blood sugar. When they took my blood sugar was 457. Right, high. They took it again, it was 352. They took it again, it was 500. They took it again, it was over 500. They literally had to pick me up and put me on a stretcher. Now, mind you, all the people who are at Chick-fil-A are still in the parking lot because now everybody wants to know, did she make it? By this time, I got to the stretcher and I passed out. I don't know how I got on the ambulance. I don't know I don't know how I got there. A normal blood sugar is anywhere from 70 to 120. Mine's over 500. And I'm pretty sure it was over 6 by the time I got to the hospital. So I'm in the ambulance. Eyes are closed. And I remember this one man, he was standing over top of me, and they take their fist and they rub it as hard as they can on your chest because you're not breathing. And so they rub it hard enough to make you gasp for air. But I couldn't move. And all I kept saying was, my lungs aren't working. And I can't talk. I can just think, but I can't make like real thoughts. I can just say, okay, they're yelling at me. He's telling me I'm not breathing. And I'm thinking, well, when you hold your breath, your lungs burn, right? Your lungs burn. There was no burning. There was no sign that I wasn't breathing. My brain did not tell my body to inhale. The man on my chest had to tell me to inhale. I was in the ambulance for 15 minutes before they could even move. And if anybody knows, if you're in the ambulance for a long time, you're in trouble. But to me, it was 30 seconds. But to a husband watching on the outside, it was 15 minutes. They finally were like, strap me in, so I couldn't move, but I fell because they started moving and my whole body slumped over. And the man had to pick me up as he's still screaming my name, trying to put IVs in my arm, and they couldn't because my veins were blown. So you couldn't get an IV into my arm. I was dehydrated. So by the time I got to the hospital, there was a team of people. I mean, like, God and Country was right at the door. And I watched 911, if y'all watched it on TV, you know, and that team is at that door. I said, oh my gosh, this is bad. But my brain and my body weren't working. My eyes weren't open. I wasn't breathing. I was in and out of consciousness. You couldn't have even asked me my name, and I couldn't tell you. So they get there, and when I say they got me into this room, and there was at least 6 or 7 people in that room, and they put IVs in both arms and in both hands because they couldn't find veins enough to get me fluids and insulin. And then all of a sudden, who shows up? My mother. And she comes in that room, and to me, everything is loud because the hearing is the last to go. And she says, in the name of Jesus, Lord God, I pray that you bring my daughter back to life. Right? And she's just going in and she's praying, and there's nothing like the prayers of a praying mother. There's nothing like the prayers of a praying mother. And in that moment, I knew I was dying. I was dying, and there was nothing anybody in that room could do until she came to pray for me. And when you die, you don't realize you're dying. You feel like you're going to sleep. So they're sticking me with needles, which I thank God for the needles now because they kept me attentive because I would scream at the top of my lungs because it hurt so bad because they were so small. They kept me in the emergency room for about 24 hours. And later on, I learned that they don't do that. They keep you in your room for maybe 2 or 3, and then they send you off to another room. But that entire night, my blood sugar eventually came down to the point where I could become cognitive. Now, mind you, my body is still on fire. Okay. So by then, my blood sugar was high, and you would have probably thought I was drunk because I'm like, I want to go home. Very belligerent, very mean. I'm ready to go. They're like, absolutely not. You're staying right here. But by the time they had medicated me, they got the blood sugar down, I cried and I screamed most of the night because my body was still on fire. They gave me pain pill after pain pill after pain pill, and it never stopped. So thankfully, about 10 o'clock, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, they put me in my own room. And I was thankful my husband stayed all night until they pretty much dismissed me to my own room, and then he went to work. But I say this to say, you never know when your time is up. You never know. Because if you would have told me that day, I had went to 2 doctor's offices. I went to 2 doctor's appointments that morning. And you couldn't have told me that day that I was going to almost die. They couldn't have told me I was going to almost die. But God. So I am thankful to know that he spared my life. And so you have to be grateful for what you have. You have to cherish the people that love you. And you have to take care of your temples, because your body is the temple. And so I went to a dietitian because now they have me on insulin. So you see me carry my little medical bag. So if I ever pass out, I have everything I need. But I won't. I promise. I'm good now. But I found out that I do have an autoimmune disorder. So I have to go through a whole nother set of doctors. But I do now have a team of doctors that are trying to figure out what is going on with my body. So yes, I take insulin, and I have never been so thankful to take insulin in my entire life. And my blood sugar has definitely dropped tremendously. But when it says rest in God, I am fully resting in God.